resilience. Resilience is a very fashionable term, right? When I started talking about it like 3 years ago, and I came to a company, people were Googling resilience right before I entered the room. What is he talking about? What's going on when we are running change, for example, or when something unforeseen happens, when something is coming towards us, when adversity hits us, then we react towards that, right? And our reaction can be on different levels, but mostly there is an emotional reaction. And when we talk about resilience, resilience is actually the art of getting back up. How do you cope with something that's happening to you? Or to which degree resilience is something that can be trained, and if so, how? And what can we learn there? What is the limitation of our resources? Or where is our vulnerability? So what you can see here, this is a beacon. It's a Largement. It's in the French Atlantic coast. It's a beacon in the sea. And obviously those were the good old days because there's still a guard, right? These days it's all outsourced or done electronically. So that guard was looking at the helicopter saying, what's going on there? And what he didn't see was that behind him, the mother of all waves was approaching and covered the entire space where he was. If you only focus on being tough, it is a question of time before something is tougher than you. And last not least, purpose. So to which degree is what I do adding meaning to the world, to something bigger than myself? You, as an executive coach, are meeting the CEO, okay? So you both wear your best suit because it's an important meeting, it's a chemistry meeting. So what's happening? What's happening behind the scenes? Oh, he has a PhD and he's from CCL. Oh man, this guy looks expensive. Gosh, he looks way smarter than me. Look at that suit and the watch. He has even published books. CEO since 10 years, wow. I'm sure he has his own page on Wikipedia. And even his wife looks like a supermodel. So that's all that stuff that goes on there behind the scenes. But we see some very, strong executives. The one is the executive coach, the other one is the executive manager. They meet. So if I'm not the first, the smartest, the nicest, the prettiest, then I will not be loved, be doomed, be excluded, be forgotten. Or something along those lines. This research, what it says is that, so you're normally in your performance, normal performance, and then something happens, a crisis. So a crisis can be, in that case obviously, hostile combat, can be a meeting with your boss, can be a meeting with clients, can be performance review, fight at home, earthquake, everything. What happens is your performance level drops. Why? Or change in the organization. Think about change, the stuff that we discussed here before. So you don't know what you don't know, you're uncertain, you don't know what's going on, so your performance drops because you're talking to others, you're chatting about it, you're standing in the coffee corners, you're not being productive. And then one of three things happens. Either you stay there for a prolonged period of time, meaning that, well, you're just not getting back. It was too much. You're developing a depression, you're developing a burnout, post-traumatic stress disorder, or something else, and you stay there. Or, eventually, that's the majority, they bounce back at some point in time, back to their old performance level. Or, which is something that in medicine is called post-traumatic growth, you actually grow out by this event because you've kind of learned something and you've come out at the back end stronger than before. Yeah, so resilience is kind of the strategy that kicks in when things are not optimal, which they are most of the time, not optimal. Okay, so when you want to lose weight and you sign up for a gym, great first step. This is like reading a book on resilience. Doesn't help you anything.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help you to sitting at the bar in the gym looking at the others.
Yeah.
That is also great, but it doesn't help you any, right? So the only thing to do it is to do it yourself. Get on the weights, get on the treadmill and do it. So the thing with resilience is the same thing. So how do you get it into your calendar? How do you make sure it's happening every day, every week, every month, every year? So what's the difference that you are making? There's different spheres that you influence, obviously. It's yourself. Then there's your inner circle. Inner circle can be your family, your direct family, your friends, people that are very, very close to you. Then there's the outer circle. That could be the company, colleagues, maybe people that are not so close to you, other organizations, and then there's the world. And not everybody needs to have a meaning on every level. This is a sailing metaphor, okay? But I like it because it kind of pulls together all the different things and different elements when we talk about resilience. So this is the seabed, this is the waterline, and this obviously is a sailboat. Okay, so far so good, no harm done. Assuming the keel is our personality. Further assume that our biography is the seabed, okay? Meaning there might be some rocks in our seabed, and maybe at times our personality, our keel, hits these rocks, okay? And then it goes bumpy, we get stuck, we need to do something, we need to take a breath, we need to wait until the water level rises, whatever. Then there's stress, events, crisis, adversity, which makes that your boat is deeper in the water, which reduces the distance to your seabed, so it's more likely that you will bump. Yeah, it's more likely that you run on autopilot and you come into things where you're confronted with your biography. Then you got dysfunctional beliefs. This is a hole in your boat. Your boat is taking on water. Yeah, so it goes like deeper into the water. Yeah. Now, okay, so how do you influence that? Resources. This is like a pump. Yeah. So this is a pump. How you get the water out of the boat, so it kind of alleviates and it's better sailing. Purpose. So purpose is the direction, the sail, where you take the energy from, where you take the direction from. And the mast is obviously the body, how you transfer all this energy into the reality, right? I mean, without body, without health, we don't do much. Actually, we don't do anything. And relationships, that's the body that kind of carries us through the waves. So it's a metaphor, and each metaphor has its limits, but it is nice because it also links it to the resilience field. So this was something that I didn't talk about at all. So there's individual resilience, but then there's also the systemic component of it, which is the organizational climate, for example. How is change going on? Is it a positive climate? Is it an abrasive climate? Is it supportive for individual resilience or not? So that plays an important role. And all of that together is the amount of resilience available. And that for me also answers the question, is resilience something that I have or not? Well, someday yes, someday not. Yeah, because it's a dynamic thing. It's an adaptation process. Resilience is a creative adaptation process to external events. Or, in more simple terms, it's the art of muddling through.